I never thought I'd get to a point where I'd be sharing this kind of story, but here I am. My name's Jake, and I've been married to Lisa for almost 8 years. We have 2 kids, a house, the whole suburban dream, or so I thought. Things had been feeling a little off for a while, little fights over stupid stuff, her snapping at me more often and her always being glued to her phone. Honestly, I figured stress at work or just the usual ups and downs. I didn't suspect anything serious. I trusted her, or so I thought. Our relationship used to be pretty good. We had our routines, our inside jokes, and I genuinely believed we were happy. But over the last few months, something changed. Lisa became bitchier, snapping at me for no reason, dismissing everything I said, acting like I was an inconvenience rather than her partner. She also started being super secretive about her phone and her laptop. At first, I thought she was just stressed out. Maybe she was hiding something, but I didn't want to jump to conclusions. I didn't want to be that guy who accuses his wife without proof. Still, I noticed her flinching whenever I tried to look at her screen or ask about her day, and she'd brush me off with some excuse about being busy or not feeling well. One morning, I woke up to find her rushing around looking flustered, and she snapped at me when I asked if she wanted coffee. That wasn't really her style. Usually, she'd be the one to make a joke out of my bad morning, but instead, she just muttered something about being late. I noticed she had her phone in her hand and kept looking at it even when she was in the shower. That was odd because she's not usually that into her phone while getting ready. Later that day, I decided to check her messages, just a quick peek. I know, trust and all, but honestly, I was just curious. I'd noticed the way she'd been acting, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. I grabbed her phone when she was in the kitchen, pretending to look for something, and slipped into her messages. That's when I saw it. A string of messages with our family dentist, Dr. Carter. At first, I thought maybe it was just casual talk, some harmless banter about our appointments or her teeth. But then I started reading more carefully. It wasn't just that. There were explicit messages, full of flirtation, innuendos, and references to meeting up outside of her appointments. They talked about sex like it was nothing. Dr. Carter calling her beautiful, telling her she had amazing curves, and asking when she was free for a little more of that sweet stuff. It wasn't just flirty chat, it was clearly more than that. And the worst part, the messages weren't deleted. They were recent, from just last week. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. My hands started trembling as I scrolled through them. My mind was racing. I couldn't believe Lisa, my wife, was cheating on me with our longtime family dentist. The guy who's seen her smile every 6 months, who's been treating us for years, was now a part of this mess. I felt betrayed, humiliated, angry. Every emotion hit me all at once. I didn't want to cry, but I could feel my eyes watering. I wanted to confront her right then, but I knew I had to think carefully. I had to process what I had seen first. That night I couldn't sleep. My mind kept replaying her words. I kept asking myself how she could do this, how she could betray everything we built. I wasn't perfect. Maybe I wasn't attentive enough. Maybe I didn't satisfy her the way she wanted, but this was a slap in the face. Seeing those messages changed everything. I started to realize that the Lisa I thought I knew was just a mask. Underneath, she'd been hiding this secret life with the man who was supposed to fix our teeth, not mess with our marriage. I knew I had to confront her. I couldn't just pretend I didn't see what I saw. But I also knew that once I said something, everything would change. I was torn between wanting to fight for us and just walking away. The betrayal was too raw, and I felt sick knowing she'd lied and cheated with someone who was supposed to be a professional helping our family. That's when I decided I'd confront her the next day. No matter what her excuse was, no matter how much she'd lie or deny, I had to hear it. From her directly. This was just the start of a nightmare I couldn't wake up from. The next morning, I woke up feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. My stomach was twisted up tight, and I couldn't decide whether to shake her awake and confront her immediately or just sit there and stew in my own head. I kept going over the messages I'd seen, the way her face looked when she was lying, the bullshit stories she'd tell about her day. It was like I had all these pieces but couldn't figure out how they fit together, yet I knew deep down that I had the proof I needed. Finally, I decided I couldn't wait. I got out of bed early, made a pot of coffee, and sat in the living room pretending to be busy with my phone. I wanted her to come out first to get her off guard. When she finally emerged from the bedroom, she looked rattled. Her hair was messy, and she avoided eye contact. That was my first clue that she knew I'd seen something. "Hey," I said casually, trying to keep my voice even. "Can we talk about something?" She looked at me, her eyes narrowing. "What's up?" I took a deep breath and looked her straight in the eyes. "I know about you and Dr. Carter. I saw the messages. Don't even try to deny it." Her face went blank for a second, then she kind of scoffed like I was overreacting. "What are you talking about? You're nuts, Jake. You're reading into things. You're paranoid." I shook my head. "No, Lisa, I'm not paranoid. I saw everything. The flirtatious texts, the way you talk about him. You've been lying to my face for months. How long has this been going on?" She rolled her eyes, crossing her arms. "You're crazy. You think I'd cheat on you with some dentist? That's pathetic. Maybe you should get your head checked." I felt my blood boil. "Pathetic? Is that what you think this is? Because I've got the screenshots, Lisa. I've got proof. And I know you've been sneaking around. How long?" She looked furious now, her voice rising. "Look, I don't owe you any explanations. You're just insecure and you're projecting your bullshit onto me. Dr. Carter's like family. We're just what?" I cut her off. "Just exchanging explicit messages, flirting about sex, planning to meet up outside of appointments. Don't lie to me, I saw it all." She looked like she was about to explode. "You don't get to accuse me of shit like this. I've been nothing but faithful. I don't have to explain myself to you." I took a step closer, voice trembling but firm. "Then why did I find these messages? Why would the doctor, the guy who's supposed to fix our teeth, be talking to you like that? Tell me, Lisa, what's really going on?" She started to cry, but not like a hurt wife, more like a wounded animal backed into a corner. "You don't understand. It's complicated. I was stressed, okay? I didn't mean for it to go this far. It's just sex, Jake. It's just sex, and it's not like I'm leaving you for him." That was a slap. I'd always believed in honesty, even if it hurt. But hearing her dismiss the whole thing like it was nothing, that tore me apart. I felt a mixture of disgust, anger, and heartbreak all at once. This wasn't some innocent flirtation. It was full-blown betrayal, and she was trying to brush it off like it was no big deal. I told her I needed time to think, and she stormed out of the room, cursing under her breath. I was left sitting there, staring at the coffee mug, trying to process how my perfect marriage had turned into something I didn't recognize anymore. That moment marked the beginning of the end, I knew. Because once trust is broken like that, it's almost impossible to repair. And deep down, I knew I couldn't ignore what I just uncovered. After she left the room, I sat there staring at the wall, my mind racing in 100 different directions. I kept replaying everything I'd read, the explicit messages, her dismissive attitude, her refusal to even acknowledge what she'd done. My stomach was tangled up with betrayal and anger, but I also felt this gnawing sadness, like I'd lost the woman I thought I knew. She kept telling me it was just sex, just stress, just a stupid mistake. But I knew better. Once a cheat, always a cheat, or so I believed. I couldn't keep this bottled up inside. I had to do something, so I grabbed my phone and started scrolling through the messages again. I wanted to find any clues about how long this had been going on, how deep it went, who else might be involved. That's when I noticed something strange, something I hadn't seen before. A notification for an upcoming appointment with our family dentist, Dr. Carter. The appointment was scheduled for next week, but what caught my eye was the reminder note. "Remember our little chat, winking face." My heart sank. I'd assumed that these messages were just about flirtation, but now I wondered if they'd actually gone beyond that. If she'd met him outside of appointments. I felt sick at the thought of them together. The idea that she'd been sneaking around, lying to my face, and potentially having sex with him. It all made me furious, and yet, oddly, I also felt a strange sense of clarity. I needed to know everything. I needed to see how far this went. I decided I couldn't confront her again before I knew the full story. I needed leverage, evidence, a way to make her realize I wasn't going to be played for a fool, so I started digging deeper. I hacked into her email, don't ask, just to see if there was anything else. And that's when I found it. Hidden in her drafts folder, a partial email she'd started but never sent. It was addressed to Dr. Carter, and the first line just about made my blood boil. It was a confession of sorts. She wrote about how she'd been feeling neglected, how the stress of our marriage and kids had pushed her into his arms. She wanted to meet up one last time just to feel alive again, and she was worried about how to explain it to me. That was the moment I realized that this wasn't just some innocent flirtation that got out of hand. It was planned, deliberate, and done with the knowledge that she was betraying not only me but our entire family. I sat there in stunned silence. All the doubts, all the small fights, suddenly made sense. She'd been cheating on me for months, maybe longer, and I'd been blind to it. Now I felt like I was living someone else's life. My trust was shattered, and I knew things could never go back to how they were. The woman I married, the woman I loved, she'd been hiding this secret, and I'd been so naive that I never saw it coming. That night I didn't sleep. Instead, I kept thinking about what I should do. Should I confront her again? Should I leave? Should I try to save what's left? Every possible scenario played out in my head, but one thing was clear. I couldn't ignore this anymore. I had to decide whether I was going to stay and try to fix this or walk away from the wreckage of our marriage. The pain was unbearable, but I knew I had to face it head-on. I couldn't keep pretending everything was normal when my whole world was falling apart. The morning after I found the draft email, I knew I had to act fast. The truth was out there, and I couldn't pretend anymore. I decided I'd confront her face to face, no more hiding, no more pretending I didn't see what I saw. But I also knew I needed to prepare myself emotionally, brace for her lies, her denial, or maybe even her tears. Whatever her reaction, I had to stay calm. I had to get to the bottom of this once and for all. She was in the kitchen again, trying to act normal, like everything was fine. Her face looked a little pale, her eyes darting everywhere except at me. I took a deep breath, steadied myself, then sat her down at the table. "Lisa," I started, voice low but steady, "we need to talk. I know what you've been doing. I know about the messages, the emails, everything." She looked at me with that fake, innocent expression she had perfected over the years. "Jake, I don't know what you're talking about. You're crazy. You're just jealous or paranoid. I haven't done anything wrong." I put my phone on the table, showing her the screenshots and the draft email. "Don't lie to me. I have proof. You've been cheating on me with Dr. Carter. How long has this been going on?" She suddenly snapped, her voice rising. "This is bullshit. You're making a mountain out of a molehill. It's just some stupid flirtation. I didn't mean for it to go this far. It's not like I'm leaving you for him. You're overreacting." I shook my head, feeling the rage bubble up. "Stop lying. I saw the messages, Lisa. I know about the meetup next week. Don't even try to deny it. You've been lying to me for months, and I'm done being stupid about it." Her eyes flashed with anger. "You think you're the only one who gets stressed. You think I don't have needs. Maybe I wanted to feel alive. Maybe I wanted some excitement, and I sure as hell didn't think I'd get called a cheating slut for it." That hit me hard. Her words, her attitude, she was so dismissive, so cold. I felt the betrayal in every word. How could she talk about her affair like it was some kind of inconvenience, like she was entitled to cheat? It was like she didn't even care how much she'd hurt me. My fists clenched, but I stayed silent. I knew I had to keep my composure, at least for now. "Lisa," I said carefully, "this isn't just about sex. It's about respect, about honesty. I don't know what kind of person you've become, but I don't recognize you anymore. You've lied, betrayed everything we built, and I don't see how we can come back from this." She scoffed, standing up. "You're wasting my time. I'm done with this conversation. If you want to believe I'm some kind of cheating whore, go ahead. But I'm not going to sit here and listen to your accusations all day." She grabbed her purse and headed for the door. I wanted to stop her, to tell her how much she'd destroyed, but I was too stunned. I watched her leave, feeling the emptiness settle deep inside me. It was like I'd just lost my wife, my partner, my best friend, all in one moment. That night, I stayed awake, staring at the ceiling. My mind kept circling back to the reality that the woman I loved had been lying to me for who knows how long. I felt a mix of heartbreak and rage. Part of me wanted to fix things, fight for her, try to salvage what was left. But another part knew it was over. Trust was broken beyond repair, and I couldn't keep pretending I was okay with her betrayal. I realized that I had to make a choice. Do I try to confront her again, demand the truth, and see if she's willing to come clean? Or do I cut my losses, protect my kids, and start figuring out how to move on? Either way, I knew my life was never going to be the same. That's the moment I truly understood how deep the betrayal ran and how much I was about to lose. The days that followed were a blur of chaos and introspection. I didn't sleep much, kept replaying that confrontation in my head over and over, trying to find some clarity, some way to fix this mess, or at least understand it. Every time I looked at her, I saw a stranger. The woman I had loved, the woman I'd shared my life with, was gone, replaced by someone cold, selfish, and unrecognizable. I didn't know what hurt more, losing her or realizing I'd been so blind for so long. I decided that I couldn't just sit around waiting for her to come back and confess everything. I had the evidence. I had her texts, her emails, even the draft confession. I needed to be strategic. First, I reached out to a lawyer just to understand my options, especially regarding the kids. I wasn't planning to jump into anything yet, but I needed to know what I was dealing with legally. The lawyer told me to keep a record of everything, to document her behavior and to prepare for the worst. That advice stuck with me. Meanwhile, Lisa kept acting distant, cold, and defensive. She'd come home from her work outings claiming she was stressed, that her job was hectic, that I was overreacting. But I wasn't buying it anymore. I could see right through her lies. The more she denied, the more I knew she was hiding something massive. I didn't want to keep pretending everything was fine, so I finally decided to confront her one last time, this time with receipts, with proof, and with my resolve to get to the truth. It was a cold evening when I sat her down again, this time with the emails printed out, the messages saved on my phone, in a calm but serious tone. "Lisa," I said, "I have all the proof. I know about your plans with Dr. Carter, about the messages, the email draft, and I want to know why. Why did you do this?" She looked furious, her jaw clenched. "You have no right to accuse me of anything. You're crazy if you think I'd cheat on you. All of this is just your paranoia." "Paranoia?" I echoed, voice rising slightly. "You think I'm paranoid after reading her explicit messages, after seeing the way you're lying through your teeth? I'm not stupid anymore. I know about the meetup next week, about what you're planning with him, and I want an honest answer, what's really going on." She stared at me, her eyes flashing with anger. "Fine," she said sharply. "Yes, I've been seeing him. Yes, I've been talking to him, but it's not what you think, it's just sex. It's not like I'm leaving you. I was just bored, stressed, and I made a mistake. You think you're the only one who's got problems." I felt like I'd been punched again. "A mistake? You call cheating on your own husband a mistake? Do you hear yourself? How can you be so selfish, so cruel? I trusted you, Lisa. I thought we had something real." She scoffed and rolled her eyes. "You're so dramatic. Maybe you should look at yourself. Maybe you're the reason I went elsewhere. Maybe if you paid more attention, I wouldn't have needed to cheat." That was the last straw. I felt my chest tighten, my stomach churn. I realized I'd been defending her, giving her the benefit of the doubt, but she was just digging her own grave. I told her I wanted her out of the house. I didn't want to see her face anymore. She yelled at me, calling me insecure and jealous, but I didn't care. All I knew was that I couldn't keep pretending that everything was okay anymore. I called a friend to come pick up the kids, and I told Lisa she had to leave that night. Watching her pack her things with that cold, bitchy attitude, like she didn't care, was almost worse than the betrayal itself. I felt a hollow emptiness, a sense that I'd lost everything. But I also felt relief. I'd finally taken control of this nightmare. Now I'm living in this weird limbo, trying to process everything. She's gone, and I'm left feeling crushed and angry, but also a strange sense of clarity. I realize I was so blind for so long, thinking I was doing okay when she was out there, sneaking around, lying, betraying. And I'm stuck asking myself, how did I let it get this far? How did I not see the signs earlier? But mostly I keep telling myself that I deserve better, that I'll get through this even if it hurts like hell right now. I have to. Now, sitting here with everything behind me, I realize how much this has changed me. I used to think trust was the foundation of everything, my marriage, my family, my life. But I learned the hard way that trust is fragile, and once broken, it's nearly impossible to repair. Lisa's betrayal cut deep, and I still feel the sting every day. But with time, I've started to rebuild. Not the marriage. I knew that was gone but myself. I've learned to be more cautious, more aware, and to value honesty above all else. The hardest part wasn't just discovering her cheating, but accepting that I'd been so blind for so long. I kept telling myself I'd done everything I could, that maybe I wasn't enough. Something I now see is a lie I told myself to avoid facing reality. The truth is, I trusted her because I loved her. And I believed she loved me back. But her actions proved otherwise. I don't harbor hate for her, at least not anymore. I'm angry, sure. Hurt, definitely. But more than anything, I'm disappointed in the woman I thought I knew. I wish her well, even if it's from a distance. Because what I've learned from this experience is that nothing is more important than honesty and respect in a relationship. If those aren't there, then everything else is just a house of cards waiting to fall. As for me, I'm focusing on the future now. My kids are my anchor. They're what keep me going day by day. I've started therapy, talking through all the pain and figuring out how to trust again, myself and others. I want to believe that I can find happiness again, even if it's different from what I thought I had. Sometimes, life throws you into the worst storms, but you come out stronger on the other side. Looking back, I wish I'd noticed the signs sooner, but I also know that you can't control everything. Sometimes, people hide who they really are behind a mask, and all you can do is face the truth when it's finally revealed. My advice to anyone reading this who might be in a similar situation: trust your instincts, don't make excuses for betrayal, and remember, your worth isn't determined by someone else's choices. You deserve honesty, loyalty, and respect. If you don't get that, don't be afraid to walk away, because sometimes staying means losing yourself. This whole experience has been brutal, but I'm slowly healing. I may never forget, but I will learn from it. And I'll come out the other side stronger and more aware than I ever was before. That's what matters now.